Like these contractors that are like contracted by scientists are like, all right, we got to capture the helium before it gets away, and they're like out there with jars trying to scoop the air.
You just made me think about my whole life there. I am Shane.
I think because when you hit me in the nuts for real, I just dropped right away.
No, I can, but I probably won't.
Okay, that's fine. Aliens come, you get probed. Can we open the episode like doing like a doo-doo-doo, 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 doo-doo-doo.
Yeah, we can definitely open the episode, which we already opened now. Welcome back to Toast.
Ah, yes. Welcome back.
Praise the sun. Or whatever.
Or whatever.
We're going to do our best not to touch the table
Not to
this
do
episode.
piss.
Yeah.
Because, as you heard, not good.
No.
No bueno,
No.
as they say in Spain.
Is that what they say?
I think so.
I'll believe you.
So Shane was like, Nathan, you were such an amazing guest for our first episode.
Yeah.
Just be a permanent co-host with me. I said, oh, sure. I have nothing going on.
You know, actually, that's not very far from the truth.
No,
That's
it's
like,
not, yeah.
honestly, how it happened. We wrapped up the podcast. I was like, Nathan, I didn't want to commit you to being a host on this because I know that you're busy and stuff.
No.
I know that you're busy and stuff. So I was just like, I'm sure I can get you on as a guest. But I had so much fun with you.
Yeah, and I had a great time.
That I was like, let's just make Nathan a permanent,
Let's do it. And
equal part of this podcast.
yeah, and like you don't want to shoot at my house by yourself. That would just be weird.
I know that. Well, no, you
Well,
probably
no.
it'd be okay.
I'd be fine.
I'd be like,
with it.
you can sit there.
Yeah.
You can cheer me on.
Yeah, it could be your live crowd.
I'll bring random people into your house that I met earlier that day.
Who's this? It's your neighbor.
Yeah. You haven't podcasted with your neighbor yet?
Not yet, but you can see us through the window.
So how are you feeling today?
Awful.
Oh.
Yeah, I apologize to our audio listeners, to our visual watchers, and anyone else under the sun. I got sick on Wednesday in my ears, so I was like, ear infection, classic.
Ear sickness.
Next day was my throat. I was like, yes, throat infection, classic. And then the next day, I was okay. And then today, it all went to my nose and my sinuses, so I sound like very bad. I'm sorry.
You sound okay.
Okay.
You sound a little lower energy. That's about it.
I can amp it up if you want.
No,
So
okay.
it's wait till I get to like here in Daddy's juice, and then it'll all get better.
Our parents had Grandpa's cough medicine, which was just
Whiskey.
straight vodka or whiskey or something. We have coffee.
Yes.
Yeah, they didn't take 20 minutes this time, actually. Good job, Tim Hortons. You improved. I went into the building, and they were
Smart
much
choice.
quicker. They were much quicker. Yeah. So the only gripe I have is about the woman who parked in front of me and took up like 3 feet of my parking space across the line. I was like, why? Why are you doing this? Why? I see you pulling in. Why are you doing this? But whatever. That is what it is. That's not Tim Hortons' fault. Still not a sponsor.
Yes. Thank you for sponsoring us. Recurring sponsor, Tim Hortons. Thank you very much.
Perfect.
Speaking about parking, right where we're working, their neighbors have like this old minivan, and they parked it on the driver's side really close to a fence, so they couldn't get in on the driver's side.
Okay.
And on the other side, they had like this storage box thing, so they couldn't get in it at all. And I was thinking, why would you even park it there? They'd have to get in through the trunk and then leave.
Do you think that's what they did?
Probably I wasn't there the next day.
I'm baffled.
I literally have no response for this.
I got nothing. I'm like, I picture somebody parking like in the like tightest little spot and just like being like, all right, I got to get in my car and popping open the trunk and climbing through.
Yeah.
If this is like a routine thing, I don't know. The world is a confusing place.
If I saw someone parking like that, I'd be like from the distance like, hey idiot, what are you doing? Idiot stuff?
And they'd respond, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
Oh, Shane! Hi, Shane! It's me, Nathan! Oh, hey.
And there I'd be, over there, doing my idiot stuff.
Yes. Classic. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm not sick. Well, I was feeling a little under the weather yesterday and the day before, and energy's like a little low. But aside from that, I'm doing good.
Good. Anything crazy happen?
Well, yeah. I mean, the world's running out of helium. Have you heard about this?
No.
No. Okay, so we're actually there is a shortage of helium in the world right now. It's like this news story going around where a lot of these party stores are not selling helium tanks, or they're drawing back the amount that they sell because we're actually in like a point where we don't have enough helium to go around. And helium's used more than in just like balloons. They use it in, what do they use it in?
I've seen helium infused beer.
Different,
drinks.
like, well, not even, but like technology things. I can't remember what it is. I'd have to reread the article. But they use it in a bunch of different things. Look at me, I'm good at tech things. But they use it in a bunch of different things, and it's just one of those things where they're like, "Well, there's a demand for helium, and we can't meet the demand," and then they're running out of helium.
And kids are like, "What else are we gonna huff?"
Yeah, like, and I mean that's like one of the not dangerous things to huff.
Yeah,
it's like you just get a squeaky voice. It's like the anti-puberty.
Yeah, now we're gonna have to go back to gasoline again.
I know.
We all know how that went the first time.
And the funny thing is helium's like one of the most abundant, gases or whatever out there.
So you can't produce helium.
It's just lighter than air. It just floats away. Just goes into outer space. Like, crap.
I just picture like
it's just getting out there.
Like these contractors that are like contracted by scientists are like, all right, we got to capture the helium before it gets away, and they're like out there with jars trying to scoop the air. Some guy gets a huge jar, starts flowing away. They're like, Jeff,
he got too much. He flew for the sun. Icarus over here.
Icarus, yeah. Ah, dang it! I missed my opportunity.
You had one chance. One opportunity.
I chose Jeff. It should have been Icarus.
Yeah. And that's I bet you, give it like 30 years, we're going to see NASA's going to come up with some sort of program. Well, actually, NASA's going to be dead by then. Elon Musk will come up with some sort of space program where they just send astronauts into outer space to collect helium. Be like, go get us our helium back. Mm-hmm. That's what's going to happen.
I imagine that'll be a good salary too. Helium catcher.
Either that or it'll be like a minimum wage future job. What do you think minimum wage future jobs would be? I mean, robots are going to take all our jobs.
Well, have you seen the hit movie Time with Justin Timberlake?
I have not seen the hit movie Time with Justin Timberlake.
Everyone lives to the age of 30, and then, I think they stop aging at the age of 30. Don't worry.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant they just died.
So say you're 30.
Yes.
Something.
I'm 30.
You're 2010.
I'm 30.
Anyways, okay, so
secrets.
How you look now is how you're going to look for the rest of your life. Okay. At the age of 42, you had a son, me.
Oh.
And now I'm 23, so 42 plus 23 is 65, correct?
Why are we adding our ages?
Just listen.
Okay.
So you're 65, but you look like you're 30.
Okay.
So when you hit 30, you have this timer that starts down on your wrist. And you can see how long you have to live on your wrist, and it's like a slow counter down. And when you go to work, you punch in and you get time back. That's how you live. Oh. When you want to buy something, you have to, say a sandwich costs 5 hours of your life. You give 5 hours of your life away, and it transfers.
It's an expensive sandwich.
Yeah. And then in the movie, he ends up going to a casino or gambling or something like that and gets millions of years, so you could potentially live forever. And that is what I think the future currency will be.
It's time. How do they
5 hours an hour?
What's the tech? yeah. A sandwich literally costs 5 hours of labor. Mm-hmm. What would be the technology that would fuel this, and how would it get started? What are they like? Oh, we know exactly.
Well, I imagine by then we're all going to be part robot a little bit.
Oh, that's fair. So it'd be more like you'd be replacing your batteries.
Yes.
AAAs or something.
Yep. Just don't let
that's what you ran on. Just little Energizer AAAs.
Yeah, just don't let your clock hit 0.
Oh, yeah, because then you die.
Spoilers. There's this scene where Justin Timberlake's mom, who looks 30, she's pretty. So I'm like, that's just...
I feel like that could open up a whole can of worms right there.
I was just like, this is a weird dynamic.
He falls in love with, someone who's, 150 years old.
Yeah.
Turns out to be, his great-great-great aunt.
So he has this time, and he's sprinting towards his mom, whose clock is running out, and she dies.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. No need to watch the movie now, I guess.
That wasn't the...
Great, I'm going to go home. I just actually go home.
You live 5 to 20 minutes away from here, so...
Anywhere between 5 and 20 minutes away.
It won't take you too long.
A little closer to the 5 side.
Is it? Did you time yourself today?
No, but I Google Maps it. It's 7 minutes.
Ah.
Yeah. So I told Nathan the one day, he's like, what was it that happened? You invited me over.
No, we were filming with Brian.
Oh yeah, we were filming with Brian, and Nathan was asking me like, well, how far away do you live? And I was like, I don't know, somewhere between 5 and 20 minutes from you. And I've been to your house like a number of times.
Well, I was like, Shane, I think you live like 8 minutes away, right? He's like, yeah, I don't know, like 5, 8, 20 minutes, something like that.
I don't know.
You've been to my house so many times.
I'm like, I don't know. It's somewhere in that range. Like that's quite the gap, somewhere between 5 and 20 minutes.
I mean, depending on how long the Tim Hortons line.
Not all of us keep track of the time with Justin Timberlake. Is that who it was?
Yes.
Oh, good, I remembered.
Yes. And the guy from...
I almost said Justin Trudeau.
And the guy from...
I had to stop myself for a second. Time with Justin Trudeau.
And the guy from Big Bang Theory.
And the guy from Big Bang Theory.
I don't know his name.
Can you imagine that was like a movie? You're like, in a world where time is running out of time, only 2 men dare stand in its way. Justin Trudeau and the guy from Big Bang Theory. And they announced, like, can you imagine if, like, Hollywood, they announced their movies or their shows just referencing people to their other characters? Instead of being, like, Chris Hemsworth, they're like, the guy from Avengers with a hammer.
So I imagine all of The Rock's movie campaigns go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give me an example.
Okay, Skyscraper, starring The Rock from the hit movie Rampage. The Rock, things like that.
Oh, where they just like keep saying The Rock.
Yeah,
like The Rock in "You Are My Rock," starring Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Have you ever like
from Dwayne The Rock Johnson in Invading Iraq? I don't know.
You tried there.
I tried. I stretched. It was a terrible joke.
Okay.
I gave it,
You ever like any of The Rock's movies? Like, some of them are okay.
Which one? The one where he plays himself or the one where he plays himself?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. No, I enjoy it. Like, I enjoy him as a character. Like, yeah, I don't think he really plays a whole list of dynamic characters, but I think that him being himself is enjoyable as a character.
Oh, for sure.
Like,
he's not gonna win an Oscar, but his movies are still gonna.
No, they're gonna be fun and enjoyable,
money, yeah.
And I think he's convincing in his role. I don't like, for example, I think Sam Jackson always plays Samuel L. Jackson, and you're like, oh, this is Samuel L. Jackson pretending to be a person or pretending to be this character. Oh, it's Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury, or it's Samuel L. Jackson as a Jedi. Like, you're always like. To me, it kind of pulls me out of it a little bit.
Yeah.
And some of the roles are really fun. Like, I do like him as Nick Fury. Yeah. But some of them, it's like, you're just too aware that he's playing himself. Mm-hmm. Which is okay. And I think The Rock's the same way. But I tend to enjoy The Rock a little bit more. Maybe because he's more of like a... You're like, oh, just give him the giant guy that can throw a building role. And you're like, okay. It's got that dynamic going for him.
I did like Jumanji. Jumanji was fun.
I didn't see Jumanji.
I don't know if I'd watch it again, but it was still fun.
Yeah?
Yeah. Jack Black. He's in it, and that's all you really need is...
I saw like the original Jumanji.
Oh, with Robin
like
Williams.
Decades before you were born.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
I had...
Decades. You're only like 6 years older than me.
I had the original board game, too. The original board game for Jumanji was like... It was actually pretty cool. There was like all these little events. It was like when the Monopoly era of board games was big. And there was like all these, like, you go around the board and I was like a kid, so I don't remember it perfectly. But there was like this little red like lens that you got. And you had to find clues. And you would get the red lens item and you would put it over the clue and be like, oh, and then something would happen. I don't remember.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, then there was like a bunch of board games that all followed that, like going around the board style games, like the Monopoly style, but then there was like the Digimon game. My little brother almost died when he was a kid. He got really sick. Like, he got the flu, but like really bad.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and he got dehydrated and lost, like, he was just like a little kid. He was like 5-6 years old, and he got super dehydrated and lost a ton of weight, and he had to get taken in an ambulance to the hospital. Then they weren't able to help him at that hospital, I think, so then they transferred him to a different hospital. I'm pretty sure that's how it went, but I could be wrong. But he was in the hospital for like a week, and he was all hooked up to all like the IVs and all the monitors and stuff, and he came very close to death. And while he was in the hospital, my parents got him a board game. It was the Digimon board game. This is back when my parents were still together. They got him the Digimon board game, and he played the crap out of that thing. And my kid brother, you remind me a lot of my little brother. You're very similar personality types. It's a compliment. I like him. But he gets out of the hospital, and all he wants to do is play this Digimon board game. And he would guilt trip anyone and everyone who wouldn't play it with him. He'd be like, "Can we play Digimon?" And he'd be like, "I'm not really feeling it right now, Cody." He'd be like, "I got this game because I almost died." And you'd be like, how do I say no to this 5-6-year-old that just told me he wants to play this board game with his big brother because he almost died? And he wasn't lying. It's not like he was making it up. It's not like, you get a splinter as a kid and you're like, "Oh, I almost died." No, he almost died.
You're like 12 or 13, right?
I got 8 years on him, so yeah, I would have been 13 or 14.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I almost died.
Yeah, you're like,
"Can you play this with me?"
Son of a gun, looks like I'm playing this game.
All right. So you got really good at the Digimon game, is what you're
we
saying.
played the crap out of that.
Nice.
Yeah. He was also super into Scooby-Doo. And the kid, I don't know how he did this, but so when I was like 18, 19, so I was working or going to school at the time, and I could drive, and he would have been like 10 or 11. He would always figure out a way, up until his like teenage years, till when he was like 16, and I was like 24. He would always find a way to like convince me to do things, and I had no idea how he would do it. He'd be like, "Shane, can we go to Starbucks?" I'd be like, "No, Cody, I'm not taking you to Starbucks." He's like, then like all of a sudden we'd be driving in my car, and I'd be like, "Wait a second, what's going on?" And he'd be like, "We're going to Starbucks." I'd be like, "Okay, all right, but you're buying your own drink." He'd be like, "Okay." And then we get in, I'd be like, "Yeah, I'll take 2 mochas." I'd be like, "Wait a second." He'll be like, and I'd be like, "How are you doing this?" He's like, "Little brother logic." I'm like, "You sneaky guy."
You know what it is? He knows you so well that he implants things in your head that he knows you subconsciously want.
Yeah.
Even if you say you don't want it.
I think so.
Because you love coffee.
Oh, man. Like, I'd be like, "All right, I'll get you a hot chocolate, and I'll get a coffee." And, yeah, like...
Yeah, so he's just like... It'd just be like walking by the hallway, and all it would take would be like five trips past you, and I'd be like, "Starbucks." He'd be like, "What?" I'd be like, "Nothing." Next time I walk by, he'd be like, "Tall blonde." You'd be like, "What?" He'd be like, "Nothing." And then
That's
before you know it...
things I like with one phrase. You know what I'm saying?
Tall blondes and Starbucks. Also tall blondes. Oh, man.
I was talking about coffee and blonde roast coffee.
What do you think I was talking about?
Oh, good.
Yeah. So I was hoping to actually start a segment within this podcast.
Okay.
Called, I don't know yet, but it's going to be like about board games. And we're going to tell the people some of our favorite stories from board games because we play so much.
I like that you're telling me this now while we're recording.
So I can't say
no.
Yeah, you can't say no.
Whoa!
Can you zoom up on this?
I can, but I don't know if I will.
Okay. Just like last episode where I'm like, "Shane, edit Brett in here."
And I didn't.
And I was just like...
I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. Audio listeners, in case you're listening audioly, we were just grabbing our faces and making shocked-looking expressions with our hands.
Like this.
Right, yeah. They can't see you, they're listening.
Feel it.
Okay, well, maybe they can feel it.
I know they can.
Nathan's hands were pressed firmly against his face as his mouth was agape in shock.
A bit of coffee dribbles from the corner of his lip.
Sensually.
Sensually. Anyways, I was hoping to talk about the time we played Time Stories.
Oh,
we'll mention Time Stories a little bit.
Yes.
And then remember the ending.
As Time, featuring Justin Timberlake. Segueing into the board game. Time Stories.
In all seriousness, Time Stories, fantastic. Like one of the best
such a
board
good
games.
game.
Yeah,
so good. Probably one of the best board games out there. Mm-hmm. It's so good.
Yeah. So you want to explain the premise of Time Stories?
Yeah, because I don't know what's like. I know what you want to talk about, like which specific story you want to tell.
You already know which one, right?
But I can't. Like I don't remember it that well, so I'm going to leave that to you. So I'll just explain Time Stories real quick. So Time Stories is a board game where you are time travelers. You're in the future trying to solve a criminal case that is taking place kind of during your time, but also in the past. There's somebody who's going back and messing with the space-time continuum by messing with things in the past and the future, and they're just messing with time. So you go back in time in these machines, but what it does is it puts you in the bodies of people who lived back then, and you go around and you have a certain amount of time before you run out and the mission is done, and you have to go back and try again, and you get points based on how quickly you solve it, whether it's your first time through, second time, third time. Right. And you basically do anything. It's like you'll appear back in time. There'll be different cards that appear. You go to different rooms, different areas.
And you're almost solving like an escape room within the board game.
Because the whole board game is a puzzle. Like it's like there's riddles.
Puzzles, like
very
really
difficult. They'll give you like very obscure clues, and if you follow the right clues, there's also a lot of like things just to throw you off, so that you're like, is this a clue that I need to follow? Probably. And then you end up just dancing around a thing for whatever. Is that the story you want to tell?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I won't. Yeah. But you end up just wasting a lot of time and doing different things, but then also trying to solve the mystery and actually make your way to the end. There'll be like, yeah, it's super cool. Like you'll have to like memorize like paintings because you can only look at things and then put them back down. That type of stuff.
And like some of the puzzles, if anyone's ever seen Zodiac, have you seen Zodiac?
No.
Oh, they send like this encryption, like this code that this guy made himself, and they're trying to break the encryption and find stuff like that. And it's super difficult, right? And like those are the types of some of the sorts of puzzles that are within these Time Stories games. And like the thing about Time Stories is that if you play with a group, there's almost no replayability to it because you'll know, unless you take years in between, because you remember the scenarios, you remember how to get through it. So typically when you've played it once, you're done with that Time Stories. Like there's a medieval one, a medieval package, there's a zombie package, there's... My favorite one is the Insane Asylum.
That one was good.
That one's by far
That was the
favorite.
First one, right?
That was the first one we played. The story that I want to tell at the end.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
what we'll do is we'll pause right here for a second.
Yeah.
Quick sponsor break. This means I'm checking the camera's battery. Not battery, time. The time code on the camera. So we'll be back in an instant.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
So we were talking about Time Stories. And I'm not going to go through the whole board game because I don't want to spoil anybody's campaign. Oh, should I even mention the last thing? Yeah, we've had build-up.
Yeah.
If you're ever going to play Time Stories, skip the next, 30 seconds.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. So at the end, well, at the beginning, the guy who sends us back in time is like, all right, don't do it. Don't do anything stupid. The answer is going to be obvious at the end or something like that. I forget the exact directions. But it was like, whatever you do, don't be stupid.
At the very start of the campaign.
Yeah.
And the campaign lasts about an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Playthrough, I'd say.
It took a long time. So we finally cracked. I think we did have to go back in time once because we failed. But we finally cracked the last puzzle. And we get to the end. And then there's this girl in this insane asylum. And hellfire springs up around her. And she ends up being like this crazy... what was it? It wasn't a vampire, was it?
She was possessed. Possessed.
And we had two options. She said, either join me in this circle of fire and hold hands with me. Naked, join with me, or don't. Was it Ryan? I can't remember if it was Ryan or...
I can't remember who it was.
Somebody without hesitation is like, we obviously have to join her.
So
that person, I think it might have been Ryan.
I just
convinced all of us but Shane, I believe.
Well, no, I was initially on board, and then I quickly changed my mind. So initially I was like, yeah, sure, whatever, sounds great. Naked seance? I mean, what could go wrong here? And then I was thinking about it. I was like, somebody else adamantly from the start was like, this is a bad idea. I can't remember who it was.
Probably Anthony.
And then I was like, yeah, you know what? Why would we be holding a seance? Aren't we supposed to be going back in time and fix some problems? but whoever it was that was adamant about it was adamant. They're like, we're doing it. So anyway.
Yeah, so we end up doing the seance and joining hands with her.
We're just like, what's the worst that can happen?
And then the next card we flip over is like, we failed, obviously, and then we go back to our commander, our chief,
Bob.
whatever, Bob. He's like, I told you not to do anything stupid.
It was just the funniest. He's like,
I can't believe what you guys did.
You guys thought it was a good idea to get naked and hold a seance. You're police from the future trying to stop time anomalies. And here you are holding a naked seance with a demon? And we're like, okay, you know what? Hindsight is, 20/20 on that one.
That makes perfect sense, actually.
Yeah, actually, you're right. We would have done well if we didn't do that part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that has been our segment of I'm bored or whatever.
We also that was good.
Thank you.
We also another time story spoilers. There was another mission in the same campaign where we're trying to crack the code to this puzzle, and we meet this guy he's like, don't worry, I'll give you all the answers you need. First, we must dance around this plunger. And we're like, he's crazy, but, what's the worst thing that could happen?
Was the guy in the wheelchair?
I can't remember. But
yeah, anyway.
He was like, dance around the plunger. We're like, he's insane, but, if he gives us a clue, that's worth it. Literally, the response to dancing around the plunger is he's like, thank you. And then, it's like, you've successfully wasted 12 hours of your time. And you're like, that's a lot of time in that game. That's half your campaign.
Yeah.
And you're
Didn't he give you a worthless object like the plunger too?
I remember
getting a card where it's like
he might have, but it was just like
useless.
It's like, congratulations, you wasted half your campaign because you thought it was a good idea to dance around You felt like you were getting trolled. You're like, the game just trolled me.
Yeah, that game does a really good job of when you waste time or when you realize you screw up, it actually hurts you.
You're like, oh, you're like, yeah, I was an idiot for doing that.
Yeah.
Totally my fault. Mm-hmm. Should have. They're the ones in the insane asylum, but I probably belong here.
Yeah, it's like running a race for charity for the cure of rabies, and then getting near the end of the finish line but not being able to finish. You won't get that reference, but a lot of people will.
I don't get that reference. Ah.
Hey, there's Angie.
Ah.
She's
walking with the cat on the back of her head.
Me and Ange, I've recently realized...
Nathan's wife.
Yeah, my wife. That our cat, Chi-Chi, is getting fat. And she's only 6 or 7 months. I was holding her up last night, and I was feeling her belly. And you know how your calf dangles? It's called the cat belly.
Yeah.
It was like that. I'm like, you're way too... young to be developing a belly like this. We don't even feed you that much.
I thought you were going to say we don't even feed you.
Yeah, we don't even feed you. No, we do feed
food.
her. So I don't know if she's eating too many paper towels or toilet paper because that's what she likes to eat when we're gone. She's getting bloated. So Ange is like, you know what? I'm going to go get a leash. We're going to start walking my cat because she got fat. She got fat legs.
I just picture Chi-Chi having a secret stash of donuts or something somewhere.
Yeah.
It's how did you even get these?
So I already know in my neighborhood I'm going to be that guy. The guy who walks his cat.
Oh, yeah. The guy and his wife that walk the cat.
Yeah. Whatever, right?
Yeah, but it makes it, you know what? And if it makes you feel better, in my neighborhood, I'm the guy that puts on weird wigs and costumes and runs around with a camera in his face. Funny story, though.
Can I do a quick plug?
Yeah, absolutely.
If anyone hasn't seen one of his more recent videos of him saying, "This is what I look like to other people while I'm filming."
You like that one?
It's so funny.
Oh, good.
You guys should go watch it because it's hilarious.
See, that one I was like, I don't know if the joke will fly on this one. I don't know if everybody will get it, but I'm like, perfect. That makes me happy.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. So if you watch the video, you'll realize that I do a lot of really stupid things. I like to do skits and just exaggerate things. So I'll oftentimes put on a wig or just be like an insane person running around throwing things everywhere. Super exaggerated acting. And this one time I was filming a scene in my driveway, and you kind of always get that little bit of anxiety when people are watching you. You're like, if you knew the person, you're like, hey, I'm doing a video, whatever, and they know you, they're like, oh, cool, whatever, right? But when they're strangers, you're like, what are they going to think of me? Even me, who, I really don't care what people think of me. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I'm like, people are going to think I'm weird. I'm like, but I am weird. So I see this older guy walking down the street, and I'm like, I'm mid-scene that I'm doing, and I'm just, being an insane person. And I'm like, he's probably thinking I'm just some weird... He's like, kids these days, Mm-hmm. He's just walking by. he gets up to my driveway as he's walking. I stopped the recording because I had finished that scene. I was going to do another take, and he looks at me. He's like, oh, what you doing there? I'm like, I'm just doing a video. He's like, good for you, son. He's like, do you want me to do? You want me to hold the camera for you? And I'm like, no, but thank you. Like, I was actually surprised. I was like, no, but thank you. You just saw me running around like, you probably thought that I needed some help. I was like, no, but like, honestly, thank you. And his response, it kills me. He's like, go get him, kid. And like, I was like, because here I am expecting this old guy to be like, look at this kid just being an idiot. Like, what has the world come to? What are the generations that we're doomed? Yeah. But here he is. He's like, go get him, kid. And I'm like, thank you.
That's really cool.
Thank you. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like, I think that was an encouraging story for me because it's like, it's so easy to internalize what other people are thinking. Mm-hmm. But when in reality, they're just like, they're just doing their thing. Or they don't care. Or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. They're just doing their day. Or, I mean, you'll get people that will be like, look at this idiot. But then you'll get more people, I think, that are interested in you doing something that's not the norm.
Yeah. I find our generation is the one that's like, what are they doing? They look stupid. And then old people can be more supportive. Not all the time, but...
sometimes.
Yeah.
But also, if you think about it, too, like, our generation is also grown up with things like Snapchat and Instagram. So if you're filming yourself in public, they're like, oh, they're just doing a Snapchat story. They're just taking a selfie. Like, it's not like this weird thing. And I think that hinders a lot of people when they want to make videos is they get pulled into themselves. They're like, how do I vlog in public? Like, I don't want people looking at me. People don't care. Mm. Like, they're just like, oh, he's just talking to his friends on like, he's just FaceTiming, or he's doing, like, he's sending a Snapchat, or he's doing, like, an Instagram post or a selfie or whatever. Nobody really cares. Or they're like, oh, he's vlogging. Like, it's become so normal now. You know, 6 years ago, when YouTube was a lot younger, it wasn't a common thing. Mm-hmm. Like, vloggers weren't really a thing as much back then. Stride, so when you were like, I do YouTube, you'd kind of like put your face down. You'd be like, yeah, I am. Be like, yeah, I got no friends, so I do YouTube. You know?
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, don't watch them, please. Mm-hmm. Please. But now people are like, oh, like, I've been like filming in the forest and out at Ojibwe and just doing like some stuff. Bless you.
So sorry.
You were forgiven and so I've been out in the forest filming, and I've just got like my little tripod and camera, and like there's like a family walking by, and this little boy, couldn't be more than 6 years old. He just looks at me, he's like, are you doing YouTube? And I was like, I just like, my eyes started watering because I'm like, I'm not a big channel. I'm like a very, very small channel, but I love making videos. It's my passion. I just enjoy it. Yeah. And I just look at him. I just look him in the eyes. I'm like, yeah, buddy, I'm doing YouTube. I like, wipe the tears away. I should have plugged my channel. I should have been like, yeah, Shane Morris, look it up. But no, I was just like, yeah, buddy, I'm doing YouTube.
That's what kids watch, right? Like any of our friends who have young kids or anything like that, their kids are always on YouTube, and that's what their TV is essentially now. It's just watching YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I like. I watch movies and I watch YouTube. I don't, like, personally, I don't watch TV anymore.
I watch far more YouTube than I do movies and stuff,
Yeah, I'll go to... See, movies...
TV shows for sure, but movies,
Movies, I'll go to, like, the theater when there's, like, a cool movie we want to see, like Endgame, or whatever, or if we have, like, a movie night at a friend's house, but I just binge YouTube all the time. I think that online digital media, people making whatever and taking away that barrier to entry to just be like, it's just Nathan with a camera, or it's just whoever, right? Being artistic. I think that there's far more interesting things on there than you would get on television. I think there's dangers to it as well because, again, anybody can make anything. But on the same hand, I think that you also get a lot more interesting, real stuff than some stuff on TV. Some stuff is real fun to watch, but for me, I find I spend more time on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you were talking about filming yourself and like getting nervous, like people might be watching or whatever. Me and Brett have been working on this video for MyTurn of like, we're just going to call it Thank God for Apex, or Thank God for the things Apex doesn't have, and it's us doing like a parody of PUBG and Fortnite and stuff. Right. So one of the opening scenes is me running in my underwear into my house from my backyard into my house, and I have it blurred out and tracked and everything.
Not even like your front yard.
No.
It's your backyard.
It's my backyard. But my neighbor was painting that day. And she was taking forever back there. And Angie's like, you're not going out there in your underwear, are you? I was like, it's my underwear. It's like a bathing suit kind of, right?
Yeah.
It was cold out, though. So me and Brett were waiting for like the ample opportunity.
Yeah.
And I had to do it 2 or 3 times to get different angles. But yeah, I definitely had to get outside myself. And my fence isn't high in my backyard. It's low.
I think yours presents a unique challenge, though, being that most people aren't outside filming in their underwear. So
I'm go big or go home. You know
yeah, you absolutely are. And that's... I think most people aren't like, oh no, I'm getting filming anxiety because I'm in my underwear. So I think your situation is just a tad different.
Well, if I start in my underwear, what do I have left to be afraid of?
Exactly. And you know, the funny thing, the thing that actually surprised me was I've done a lot of independent and student films and theater. Like, I've done a lot. And when I first started doing YouTube in public, I was uncomfortable on the camera.
Oh, yeah.
I was uncomfortable even just like with the camera at first. Because it was like this whole different animal. It's like, do I acknowledge the camera? Do I not acknowledge the camera?
It's a new language.
Am I a character? Am I myself? Mm-hmm. And that's difficult. And then being out in public, you don't have the safety net or the security of having, your director, your camera ops, people in vests, just kind of like, oh, it's a film crew.
Yeah.
Instead, it's just like, oh, what's this idiot doing with a camera in front of his face, right? So even for me, it took a while to get comfortable with that.
Cast, crew, and director.
That's weird.
Well, it's translating very well.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I really do. And like I said, I just love it. It's so much fun. Mm-hmm. And I think that a lot of people, they don't ever attempt it because they're like, I don't know what I would make. I don't know. The only way you get good at it and you learn from it and you progress and learn to have fun with it is by trying.
Yeah.
That's it. And by trying and trying and trying and trying and trying and trying and just keep going for it and make it a learning experience, right?
Yeah, I think that's good for anybody listening.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not necessarily only making videos, but anything you do in life, whether you want to start, getting fit at the gym, if you want to playing guitar, it's like you're going to fail again and again and again and again. But those who, like when you see, just in those topics, when you see someone who's super fit and healthy, when you see someone who's really, really good at guitar, when you see somebody who's getting good at making videos, it's because they failed again and again and again and again, and then they found something that worked. But then after that, when they pushed a new plateau, they failed again and again and again and again. Yeah. But it's just doing it. It's the most basic, simple thing, and you've probably heard it a million times, is just do it. Whatever you're going after, just do it. Mm-hmm. But it's the truth. Yeah. And I think the thing too is, it's easy for us to look at somebody who's like an awesome guitar player and be like, man, they're so good and I suck. I'm never going to make it, right? But you don't get to see those hours and hours and hours that they put in behind the scenes, starting at the same spot that you're starting at, you know, just having like terrible sounding everything coming out of the guitar and just picking away at it forever until, pun intended, picking away at it forever until they become a master at it. And then you see them as a master and you're like, well, I suck. But in reality, you're in the same shoes that they were, maybe even better than they were when they started. You don't know, right? Yep. So it's like... It relates back to what we talked about last week of just doing it.
Yeah.
Go get it. So.
Yeah. I think I'm a firm believer in tenacity trumps all.
For sure.
Like, going for something and not giving up, I think is like the best skill set you can have.
Yeah.
Far and far. But
that's so deep. Yes, so deep. Yeah, tenacity. I like living my life by like the three simple rules, Shane. This is my old man advice. If you work hard, you be nice to people, and you don't give up, you're gonna have a successful life.
Yeah, that's honestly, the older we get, the more we see that. And I think that's so true. And again, it goes back to what we talked about last week too, where it's like, I think one of the most underrated things people realize, it's like the biggest life hack ever, is being nice to people.
Yeah.
Honestly, because it takes no effort. You just be nice to people, and the payoffs are huge. One, you feel good about it. You make other people feel good about it. And even from like a strictly like, how does this benefit me directly point of view, it's like people are far more likely to like bend the rules or do things that help you out simply because you're nice to them.
Yeah, you get favor from people, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and it's like there's no downside to it. It's like, just be nice to people. Mm-hmm. It's simple.
It's simple.
It's so simple. It's like the biggest life hack ever. It's like, it's just crazy.
Yeah, like there's things because, well, we do have a relationship, but because you're such a nice person, if you were like, Shane,
Nathan's lying.
Can I come use your house for a podcast?
I would cut him with a rusty knife.
Can I come use your house for a podcast? You're not even going to be in it. I'm like, Shane, you're so nice. Yes, I don't care. But if someone who was mean to me asked me that, I'd say no.
Yeah, probably kick him right in the nuts.
Basic. Oh, I'd still kick you in the nuts. Actually, you kicked me in the nuts.
I know.
I invited you into my house to film, and you kicked me in the nuts. Can you edit like me going like, and then like a thought bubble of like the imagination of the flashback?
I can, but I probably won't.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. So we can tell the story though.
Yeah, go ahead, take it away.
Yeah. So Nathan actually approached me with the idea that he had one of the types of videos I like to do is video games in real life. And those are always fun. And Nathan approached me with the idea of playing a game, like a board game, and then creating like a reenacted over-the-top version of what had happened in the game.
Still working on it.
It's still in the works. It's still a plan that we want to continue with. So we played this board game called Tiny Ninjas. Really fun, simple little game.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
And then we went to the dollar store, bought the most ridiculous props that we could, and decided to recreate the battle.
I think, sorry for interrupting, but like my outfit was, I put some of Angie's, are they called pantyhose? I don't know.
Stockings.
Those tight black things over my head, googly eyes. I have one of those booby lights upstairs, so I unscrewed it and put it on top and it looked like a samurai hat or something.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
It was great.
I had like bunny ears or something.
Yes.
And then like we just like went over the top and filmed something really ridiculous. I thought it turned out pretty fun though.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
And then so we wanted to recreate loosely what happened, like kind of artistically. And in the game, I was destroying you. Like I was just giving you a bad day. But terrible. Then like tables turned instantly, and you wiped the floor with me. It was just like I'm done.
Yep.
So what happened was when we're filming, we wanted to show me just like annihilating you, right? So how do you show somebody annihilating somebody else? A swift kick to the nuts. So we do like 3 or 4 takes, and we're like, okay, cool, it's looking good. And I'm like, okay, I want one more angle from this, like a nice wide shot. So I put the camera up on your stairs, aim it towards us for a wide shot, and I run at you and kick just a little too high, and I tag you, and you go down.
Yeah, it's like first contact.
Oh yeah, it was. And immediately
the aliens come, you get probed.
You kicked in the nuts.
Get kicked in the nuts.
Imagine that was the first thing they would do to humans. They seem to really like their nuts. Let's kick them.
Thank God our nuts are under our armpits.
We find out, we start kicking their armpits. But yeah, so I kick you in the nuts. You go down. You just fall down. And you're like in pain.
That's terrible.
And it was hilarious.
And he's like, I'm so sorry.
I
get the footage.
I said, I'm so sorry. Then I grab the camera and I say, just use it. And I film you on the ground. And then later I added a compilation of me kicking you in the nuts in different styles.
I love the Red Dead, the Deadeye version.
Oh yeah, so like
so good.
It like I run up to Nathan and it goes slow motion. It's like, and then like you see like the X appear on your nuts, and it's like, and like I kick you in the nuts and you go down.
I loved it.
The sad part is I didn't even use that footage, the actual nut kick for that video, because it didn't look as realistic as the other nut kicks. It wasn't as believable.
Really? Yeah. The real nut kick?
So I had to use the one where I didn't actually hit you in the nuts. It looked more real.
Movie magic, eh?
Yeah.
I think because when you hit me in the nuts for real, I just dropped right away.
Oh,
I didn't have.
I was cool. I as somebody who's never kicked somebody in the nuts before.
That was your first time?
That was my first time ever kicking somebody. I'm like, I'm like, there's no reason to kick somebody in the nuts. That just sounds cruel. You know, you get hit with a soccer ball or something there and you go down. But I didn't realize how fast people go down from that. Like, just like literally like ragdoll. I'm like, yeah, it's a lot of pain, but still, like, that's effective defense. You can take martial arts for your entire life, or you could just kick somebody in the nuts.
Kick him in the nuts, stab him in the eyes.
You don't even need to do the eye stab. At that point, they're on the ground, a ragdoll. Yeah. You just walk away safely.
I never would have guessed you found my kryptonite so fast.
All right, well, I'm going to check the time on the camera.
Time for a break.
Oh, no! My internal clock is on point.
Stay tuned for Act 3 of this wonderful podcast.
And we're back.
Welcome back to the third segment. Second episode. You are Shane.
I am Nathan. You just made me think about my whole life there. I am Shane.
I am.
Start questioning who I am.
You ever say this podcast? You ever say a word so much where it just doesn't make sense anymore?
Oh, all the time.
I hate it. I hate that feeling so much.
It's just this. It's the weirdest thing, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Like you're just like, why does this word not make sense anymore?
Like how come chair doesn't mean floor? How come floor doesn't mean chair?
But even that, it just doesn't sound right. You're like, you'll say it like 100 times. You'd be like, it doesn't. Like chair, 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 and eventually you'll just be like, am I even saying it right? Why? Why does our brain do that? That's so weird. You know what else is weird? Post-secondary education. Dun, dun, dun. Let's talk about that.
Let's talk about
it. Because we both have very interesting backgrounds with university.
Yeah. Sorry.
single tear.
Yeah.
Would you like to go first? I think yours is a little shorter.
I only have one story, so how about you tell one of yours first, then I'll tell mine, and then you can tell yours.
I don't know how to tell mine. Okay, yeah. So, here's what we'll do.
Tell me what you did after high school.
Okay, so
I actually don't know what you did after high school.
Right after high school, I went to university for electrical engineering. I was put in the program because between family and guidance counselors, they're like, you're really good at math and science. Go be an engineer. You'll make a lot of money. So I was like, I'm a 18-year-old kid. I don't know what I want to do. I enjoy doing more acting stuff. Like I hadn't really gotten into acting a whole lot then, but I had no idea what I wanted to do, where my passion was in life. So I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. Money sounds great. I guess I'll go be an engineer. So I went to university on full scholarships for electrical engineering. And decided I didn't like it. I didn't like the fact that... How far in? I found out pretty quick.
Did you? Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't for me. I didn't like the fact that none of my profs that first semester of engineering cared at all. Mm-hmm. It was essentially, you would go into a lecture hall with 300-400 people, sit down, the profs would be like, go buy your textbook for $200, read it, and that was about it for their commitment.
Yeah.
Some of them weren't very proficient in English as well. I had a couple that would switch back to their native tongue while doing a lecture, and I was like,
yeah, that could be hard.
I was like, that it makes it very difficult for the learning experience. Yep. And me as a learner, I don't learn by just reading a book or by sitting down listening to someone talk. I like to learn by shadowing someone. So my first year engineering was not an enjoyable one. So about, I want to say 2 months into the program, I decided I wasn't going to any of my lectures because they were useless. So I didn't go to any of my lectures. I didn't get any of my textbooks. I just was like, I'm just going to show up and write my midterms and exams. So that's what I did for the rest of that semester and all of second semester. I didn't go to any lectures, didn't go to my labs, didn't read anything, just wrote my midterms and exams and passed all my courses. So I just consider myself having gotten, 10 free credits for university. Lost all my scholarships, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my, and then I dropped out. I was like, okay, this is not for me. This is not what I want to do with my life. So yeah, that was my what did I do after high school experience. Mm-hmm. So why don't you go ahead and share yours?
Well, I'm not done with yours yet.
Oh, okay.
When I first met Shane, it was very interesting because he was like very extroverted and Like, I don't know when I first met him.
I was going to say.
Like we talked about last week. But I always remembered him being very, like... I knew he liked acting. I knew he liked being extroverted. I knew he liked attention. But then one day, I remember he was sitting down with one of our friends talking about, like, black holes and theories and stuff like that. And the words you were using and the way you made sense, I was like, oh my gosh, Shane's actually a genius. Then I found out you had a background of being very good at math and very, very good at sciences and very knowledgeable in that field. So I just thought that was unique. And then I was like, Shane should be an engineer. Like, when I first met you, or when I first realized how, like, smart you actually are. But then getting to know you, you shouldn't be that.
No, I hate it.
I just
Look at me, a jazz hand.
I just wanted Shane to be Shane.
I'm pretty sure earlier in this podcast, you're like, Shane's smart. And earlier in this podcast, I'm like, Helium does tech stuff. Completely self-disproving statement right there. They use helium for technology. I don't know. I read it in an article.
My mom thinks you're a genius, by the way.
Your mom is a sweetheart. She thinks that because I brought her coffee once and a Christmas gift that one time.
Chocolate.
Oh, yeah, chocolate. I brought your mom chocolate for Christmas.
Every once in a while, she just sits down. She's like, out of all your friends, I think Shane's my favorite.
It's because I brought her chocolate and coffee. Shane's my favorite too,
Mom.
Aww. The secret is bribing. So, I'll continue my story after, but I want to hear your high school experience.
And we're getting to a point about schooling and stuff like that eventually. After high school, I loved history. I love languages. And I loved the thought of archaeology. So I was like, I'm going to be an archaeologist. I'm going to go to school for 7 years, and if I don't want to do the 7 years, I'll just be like a history teacher or something like that, because I love history, and I still do love history. I love studying it out. So first year was fine. It was hard because, like you said, the profs don't show you any attention. Second year was easier, and third year was fine. And like, I had a scholarship, lost a scholarship, got it back, lost it, then I never got it again. But I finished my third year. And I was like, okay, I don't know if I want to commit to doing, getting my master's and my PhD in this field yet in life. But I'll definitely get my my BA in honors. And it was a double major too, so I'd have credit for two types of histories, like classes of histories. Like Greek and Roman times, and then Canadian history was my other one.
Okay.
So I was like, perfect role for a teacher, right?
Right.
I had my two.
You got the way far back and you got the not so far back.
Yeah, correct. And then I had my languages as my minor. And I loved languages. Like, learning Greek and Roman was a lot of fun for me because, I don't know, languages I pick up like that.
Okay.
Like, that's the thing that I really excelled at.
I'm the opposite. 12 years of public education with French, and I can't speak a word of French.
And see, it's only the things that interested me because I suck at French because I never applied myself. My mom speaks fluent French. Like, that was my grandpa's first language, right? It was French. But they never taught me, and I never... When I think of French people, I just think of dirty people who smoke.
Oh, wow.
I'm kidding. That's my family. It's my family. I'm just joking. Totally kidding. But the Greek, ancient Greek and Latin... I really, really liked. I remember meeting with my prof once. I just had a meeting with her in her office, and I told her how I felt about school, and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to finish. And she's like, okay, I understand that, but like, me and my colleagues agree, like, you're quite brilliant when it comes to languages. Like, you sure you don't want to pursue this? And for me, it made sense staying in school, and it didn't make sense leaving school when all I had was 7 or 8 more credits that I had to get for my double major, right?
Right.
And minor. But after 3 years, I was just like, I had that feeling of like, everything in my life right now makes sense for me to be happy and to feel like I'm where I need to be, but I don't. So I approached my mom. I was like, I'm gonna leave school, and she was the one who was advocating for me the most of finishing school, because she's like, you'll be the first in our family to have a degree,
right?
Like, you can have an amazing job being a teacher, you'll make money, blah blah blah. But when I told her I was leaving, she was devastated. But then I did quit school. I left. It's always there if I want to go back, which I won't. People bug me about that all the time, and it's really annoying. But after I dropped out of university, I started working with my father in our family business, like building homes and renovating homes. Mm-hmm. And I still work there. I love my job.
Yeah.
I really, really like it. I get to learn a lot. It's hands-on, physical, something I enjoy, right? Yeah. But when I left school, I got that job. I felt great. I knew Angie, but me and Angie started dating. We got married. Mm-hmm. Everything was lining up in my life. I met a great group of friends because in university I was very antisocial and very anxiety-driven of like, no one wants to be with me kind of thing. So meeting you guys was like an absolute godsend. Yeah. And I know we've talked about that before. Never on here, but everything, dropping out of school for me was the best thing I've ever done because it was the best thing I've ever done that didn't make any sense at the time. Right. But after it was done, it made so much sense.
Right.
Yeah. So that's my dropping out of school story.
And for those of you that don't know, Nathan is actually an incredibly talented musician.
Oh, thanks.
Guitarist. So yeah, like I think that's another passion of yours that you would at some point like to see yourself in.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're currently not putting yourself in debt to get a degree.
Correct.
That you don't want, right?
Yeah.
So
and as far as music goes for me, I had a band called Among Titans, and you guys should listen to it on Spotify. We have still all our EP and our single out there, and it was a lot of fun, and I loved it. And I do see myself writing music one day, probably not with the same group or the same style necessarily.
And you team up with Aiden every once in a while.
Yeah, and I do team up with Aiden.
Our other buddy who's musically gifted.
Yep. So me and Mitch Teskey and Caleb, my brother, and Aiden have all talked about writing stuff, mainly me and Mitch, just writing stuff and then having the other guys come and complement it.
Yeah.
So we do have music in the works eventually. Mm-hmm. I'm just trying to get a grip of life.
Yeah, which is fair.
Yeah. Because it's hard learning balance and how
being
to
an adult.
Being an adult.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
No.
Well, I like it, but it's confusing.
Hard.
Like your mom doesn't go to the doctors with you anymore, and you don't know what papers to sign. And the doctor sign this mortgage. You're like, I don't even know how to do a signature.
The doctor, instead of giving you a lollipop, just takes your blood.
Yeah, keep putting a finger out.
Turn your head and cough, and you're like, oh, this is terrible.
Why are you doing this? I just have a sore throat.
So that was your experience with the doctor during your sore throat, during your cold here.
Oh, I don't go anymore.
No. Yeah.
Angie's very against
doctors
prescriptions.
Oh, gotcha.
Yes.
Yeah.
She believes, and it makes sense that through proper nerve function, proper diet, and proper vitamins, if need be, your body was made to heal itself. And I haven't been sick. I used to get really sick, and I haven't been sick until now. And even then, this sickness isn't too bad.
I think that does play a role. I think that proper nutrition and exercise and everything plays a massive role in our overall health. But I do think that we can get carried away and kind of turn our back on some of the things that are necessary.
100%.
Like, there's a lot of medical advances that are there for a reason.
Yeah, science is there for a reason.
Yeah, exactly.
If I knew I needed to be at the doctor's, like I used to go for minor things and just to feel better, but now I know my body is strong enough to get over this.
Yeah, like a cold or whatever. It's like, we'll get over it.
Yeah,
right?
Or even a simple throat infection.
Yeah.
It goes away pretty quick.
But if you have like the flu or pneumonia or something, you should probably
definitely go to the doctor.
Yeah, definitely go to the doctors. That's what medicine is there for.
If you have a weird bulge coming out of you, celebrate.
Celebrate. Well, yeah.
Shame.
Anyway, back to schooling.
Yeah, how did we get here?
Yeah, that's a question I ask myself every morning. How did we get here? So I mentioned that my university career is a little more complicated. So after I finished engineering, and by finished I mean dropped out after a year. After I dropped out after a year of engineering, I found acting, and I really loved acting. That was my first independent film. Was right after engineering. I went to an audition for a big zombie movie they were doing in the area. I remember it was like in the news and everything. Unfortunately, the movie never made it out of editing.
Do you remember the director? Was it Michael Gavin Booth?
No, but he gave us computers for that movie, actually. Like computer monitors and stuff, yeah. Part of our props. He helped us get props. Not me, but our director for it.
Yep.
But it was a super cool experience because I auditioned and I got the part. And it was so much fun, and I just loved every moment of it. I met some like amazing people, and I just fell in love with the craft. anyway, I was working and, things got crazy in my life. And I kept trying to go back to school because I was like, this is what you do as a young adult. You go to university, you get your education. I was like, maybe I just found the wrong program. So I went back for, I think I've dropped out of university 6 or 7 times now. I've tried most programs or a subclass of each program. Loud creaking noise somewhere.
It's Chi-Chi.
Oh, she's clawing at something. But so I had tried most of the different programs. It's so loud.
Can we pause it?
No.
I was just going to tell Ange to grab her.
Oh, yeah, you can do that.
Okay. Sorry.
That's okay. We won't pause. We'll just keep this rolling.
Okay.
We'll keep it raw.
Ange, can you grab Chi-Chi, babe?
The cat really wants to come upstairs, so she's scratching at the door.
Anyways.
Yeah. So I went into a couple different programs, like liberal and professional studies, which is basically like I don't know what I want to take just yet, like an overall generalized program. I was in business.
That must have made you want to like blow your brains out boring.
It wasn't too bad. Like
No?
engineering was for me the worst because it was like
Really?
so dry. This one at least I could take a variety of different courses.
Okay.
I would drop out, then I would like people would be like, no, university might just not be for you, and then other people would be like, no, you have to get a degree. You have to get a degree to become successful in life. I love my dad, like dearly. He's awesome, but he also very much advocated for me to go to university. And what would happen is I would talk with him and he'd be like, no, you got to go to university. Like you have to get an education. And I would go and it wasn't for me and I'd drop out. And the program I liked the most and the one I almost stuck with was drama. I loved the dramatic arts program. It was the one program I was in where all the professors legitimately cared about their students. Mm-hmm. Everybody was really nice, like the professors, and they cared, and the classes were smaller, and they tried to pour into you and actually nurture your field of study.
And for timeline, that's when I started to first get to know you better. Like,
yeah, this would have been like 4 or 5 years ago now.
Yep.
And it was awesome, but then I also realized that it wasn't necessarily pushing me in the far enough in the direction that I wanted to go. I felt like giving me the skills to do what I want to do as much for the debt it was putting me in.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I tried going back to engineering a couple of times because I was like, maybe I was just young and I couldn't handle it. And funny story, the most recent time I tried to go back to engineering, I had to take a prereq to a credit I already had. The reason being is they were trying to make sure they had enough credits so that they could make a profit off of it, but they had gotten rid of some of the other courses, so they put in a prereq to one of the courses and that I had, and then they were like, the same thing happened years later, and they put a prereq into that one. So I had a AutoCAD design credit. I had been doing AutoCAD as a career for a year at that point, and I went back and I was like, hey, why do I have to take this class? Can I just write out of these two and get the credits for them? I have the credit that these two lead into, plus I did it professionally for a year. And they're like, no, you have to take the prereqs. So I was sitting here taking how to picture an object in 3 space so that next year we could learn what AutoCAD is, so then next year we could start working in AutoCAD. And I was like, I was just baffled. Anyway, so I dropped out of engineering again. Long story short, though, if university is not for you, it's not for you. Like, I ended up with a lot of debt, student debt, not as much as I could have, or as some people do, but for a couple of experiences that would have made a lot more sense for me to just work different jobs and learn that way, because I very much value education.
Important.
I don't necessarily value the university system, because I know a lot of people that went through different programs and they just cheated their whole way through. They got no education out of it. They spent all the money, but they got a piece of paper that says they're employable. And it's bad for all parties. And I think that our post-secondary education systems have a monopoly on mindsets right now, that without a degree or diploma in a certain field, you are not worthy of being hired in that field. And they try to push that to employers, so people have to go to university so they make money. Because they make money, that's what they're there for. And places only start looking at people with degrees as opposed to who's the most trainable for this position. The funny thing is no matter what job you end up in, your degree should only, it really just opens a door, because either way, your employer is going to have to retrain you on almost everything, or at least how they handle things. There's certain basics, like certain degrees, necessary. You want to be a doctor, you kind of have to do schooling. There's no way around that one. But other things, it's like, you want to start a business, you don't need to go to school for entrepreneurship. Or if you want to be an actor, you don't have to go to school for drama. You want to be, like, a lot of things you don't have to go to school for.
Yeah, you want to make kombucha? Learn how to make kombucha.
Just make kombucha. That's the moral of this story. Don't go to school, just stay home and make kombucha.
Yeah. Get a big SCOBY.
Yeah. I mean, long story short, from somebody who's been in and out of university, if I was to go back in time and do it all over from the start, I would initially just take drama and follow through with it. When I was 18 years old, as opposed to going back when I was older, 25 or whatever, and finish that degree. So at least that way, with the same amount of debt, I would have the degree.
Yeah.
Either that, or I just wouldn't go to school and just would have worked through it and saved up the money and invested and just went out and tried my hand at acting through independent film and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, I'd like to say, if I were to go back in time, I'd do it the same. But honestly, I'm not in touch with anyone that was in my classes in university, except one guy that was fantastic at guitar. Made friends with him. But other than that, all I got was debt and life lessons.
Man, this sounds like the anti-university podcast. Like, this time on Don't Go to University, we talk about why you shouldn't go to university.
But if you love university...
If that's your thing and that's something that interests you and you get value out of it, and personal value being like the summation of the whole thing, being your education, the social, everything from it, then by all means go for it. But I think all that we're saying is don't go to university because somebody tells you you have to or you should. It's as simple as that. Like, I look at the jobs that I've had over my life. I've had a lot of jobs. I tend to job hop a little bit. And a lot of the jobs I've had, I'm not qualified for, but I learned the position. I've been management. I've been customer service. I've worked in electrical shops and factories. I've also had tech jobs where I was a photographer, a school photographer. I was a freelance marketing agent for Disney. I was background in Suicide Squad. You can gotta throw that in there. You can see him. Yeah, I made it onto the big screen. And currently I do more tech stuff like web development and all that fun internet-y stuff. But the moral of the story is it's like your university degree shouldn't and isn't the be-all, end-all. Yeah. Do it if it's right for you, but if it's not right for you, don't let somebody tell you that it is right for you.
Exactly, yeah. I feel bad for high school students because when I was in high school, we had the careers class, and you'd take this test, and it would tell you what field you should go into, and then your teachers would push you in that direction. And when I took the test, they're asking like 15-year-old kids, 16-year-old kids to take this test. And by the time you're 15, 16...
You're like, buddy, my balls just dropped. I don't know I don't know anything about this.
All my time is occupied right now.
We're going down different routes with that joke. I was just like, I don't even know what the world looks like yet. And you're over here occupied with your time.
Anyways, we're asking like these 15-year-old kids, like, what do you want to do for the rest of your life? And looking back on 15-year-old me... Is it okay if we go longer?
Yeah, we got like a couple minutes.
Okay. Looking back on 15-year-old me, it's like I would never, ever ask that person that question because he had no idea what he wanted to do.
No.
So I took this test and it said you should be a wrecking ball operator, a vending bar repairman, or...
These are oddly specific careers.
Yeah. Or I lied to you. I'm not lying. It said or male model. And I don't think I'm the prettiest fit for a male model.
Hey, I think you could do it. You know what? I think that yes, let's just take that careers things advice and just do it. Just go be a male model.
So I'm thinking about doing a calendar where each month flip-flops between me riding a wrecking ball,
okay,
and then fixing a vending bar.
Oh yeah. That'd be good.
Yeah,
I'd buy it
while wearing firefighter
gear.
Yeah,
but fully dressed.
Kinda. Just me in a park of wilding.
Yeah. Anyway, I think we are out of time now for the day. That just flew by today. It went way quicker, at least in my opinion, than last episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it was fun.
All right, well, thank you for joining us here on the Toast
or whatever
podcast. I'm Shane.
I'm Nathan. Until next time.
Love you lots. See you in the next one. Bye for now.